We're up to number 9 of the 48 ways, and that is betahara. Betahara means purity. And what is purity? So, I don't know if they still sell ivory soap, and they say 99.999% pure. Yeah. Pure what? Pure soap. Yeah. Pure means no adulteration, nothing else in it. So, we're going to have time to discuss 6 different aspects of purity. So there's intellectual purity quantity-wise, which means one idea at a time. Concentrate or meditate. Don't let your mind flap around. Then there's intellectual purity quality-wise. What does that mean? That means that if you say that something is true, well then don't say it's true, but maybe not. If you think that education means know yourself, that's the proper point of education, well then mean it and get acquainted with yourself. Now we have emotional purity quantity-wise, which means one emotion at a time. You don't let any other emotions invade. You know what that power is? That's the power of ruthlessness. You think it's a bad thing to be ruthless? Well, if you're a surgeon, you want to be ruthless. Is that right? When you're operating, and you're cutting into the heart, you don't want to say, oh, the poor family, oh, life, death. It's a sock. You sew it up. I choose the emotion that I'm riding, and I ignore all other emotions. All right, so the 4th aspect is emotional purity quality-wise. You take an emotion and you ride it. You know what you call that? That's the power of the berserker. They come out and that football dugout after the, the pep talk, yeah? And they're like, berserk. You get out of their way. That's the sales manager, Monday morning pep talk session, and we're going to go out there and sell 100 policies this day because, right? And then the salesmen come out there. If you're the poor guy who stands in the way, he bought 5 policies, right after he comes out of the sales meeting, yeah? Taking one emotion and pumping it up. Okay, now, goal purity. It's very important that we know quantity. What goal do you want? And don't get confused. This is your goal. And quality is be ambitious. And one more aspect of purity, and that is total purity. Integrating all of it. So how do we go about it? Roman numeral 1 is intellectual purity quantity-wise. So number 1 of this is that first you've got to get in touch with where your mind is. So your mind is flopping around all over. So at all times you should be up there. What are you thinking about now? You're thinking about home. You're thinking about the day after tomorrow. You're thinking about where you're coming from, where you're going. You're thinking about what's outside. It's warm in here. That's different things that are on your mind, right? Number 2 is that you've got to learn to set your mind by closing off other compartments. Your mind is here, not anywhere else. It doesn't matter, it's warm. Your mind is not aware of it. Now, where you're going tomorrow, where you come from, what do you think about this place? Now, what are we talking about? That's concentration. B of this is that there is another form of concentration, which is not good in a classroom setting, but we call it meditation. Meditation is you take a subject and you involve yourself completely in the subject to exclude all other subjects. It's meditation. We'll discuss a little further what's the difference, but first we're concentrating on concentration. So number 3 is, in order to get the skill of concentration, you've got to know that it's up to you. It's an act of will. It's discipline. You are the master of your mind. You're the master of your mind. You don't want to think about anything else. Don't. Pull your mind back to where you are. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. You will win because it's your mind. So B of this is realize that it's no more difficult than if you haven't used your arm for 2 weeks. It'll take you a little bit of doing to be a master of your arm. Painful. But once you do it, your arm does exactly what you want it to do. Your mind will do exactly what you want it to do. It's just a question of try again, and you will succeed because we are the masters of our mind, just like we're the masters of our hand. So that's the real benefit of TM, that in a very unoffensive way, that's what they're teaching their people to do by giving you your mantra. You meditate, you bring it back to this. Your mind wanders off, you go back. Mind wanders off, you go back. So slowly, in a non-offensive, without taking the reins in your hand, you are mastering your mind, at least focusing it in one direction. But it's one aspect of purity, and one aspect of that aspect. All right, number 4 is that in Jewish consciousness we had a term that you used to use whenever you did something. You would say, Hinni muchana mizuman. You would say out loud, I am setting myself. This is what I'm going to do. I'm concentrating on this issue. I'm going to study. I'm going to honor my parents. I'm going to appreciate what I'm doing. You said the formula? Turn on a switch. Concentrate. Know what you're doing. Number 5 is that you should pick up your own techniques or learn techniques from others. In Judaism we have this technique. You want to concentrate, you want to get into concentration, one word at a time. What does the word mean? Go slowly, yeah? And say it out loud. After the first 10, 20, 30 words, you'll be here and not anywhere else. But B of this is that there is another technique, and that is when you have a need, there is a switch you pull, which is concentrate, and you're there. You couldn't concentrate, it's the spring, yeah? But all of a sudden the final is tomorrow, and the realization gets through, you mean it, you make that decision, and you're fully concentrated. Nobody can talk to you. Your parents can't even reach you. You have to learn to abstract it, what happened, and pull that switch yourself. C of this is that we've all had an occasion where we got involved in a novel, and we were concentrated. Really, it's a sense meditation. We weren't making an effort, but we were up all night. Yeah? And our parents called them, it's time to go to sleep, it's time to go to sleep. Didn't hear it. Or you were sitting on a bus and you're reading this novel and the bus driver has to go back and say, hey, where you going, buddy? You know, this is the end of the line. Yeah? Happened to you? What happened? Well, really, you were meditating. You weren't concentrating. You weren't making the effort, but you were involved. See, that's this form of meditation. The idea is abstract these powers and use it intentionally. You're going to study something, get your desire into it, pull that switch, learn how to focus your attention. Number 6 is that after you've learned to concentrate, you see, in Judaism we say we have a 70-track mind. Once you learn how to use one track, then you can get your mind on another 69 tracks. You hear that, Ed? 69 tracks. Now, they have a story over here of Rabbi Yeshua Leib Diskin in Jerusalem that people say, and I've met people who said that they've seen him writing 2 letters with 2 hands to 2 different people, you know, while he was conducting a conversation. And they don't know what he was doing with his mind besides that. Yeah? But that's an undertaking. You get it? We have this power. Now you say that's ridiculous. We do it all the time. You remember driving a car, listening to a radio. Now when you were learning how to drive a car and somebody wanted to talk to you, you said, murderer, you want to get us killed? On the street. Yeah? Because you got to concentrate. Yeah? But once you learned how to drive a car, and you're even in traffic, and you're listening to the radio, a newscast or a concert, right? And also looking out for traffic on your left and on your right, and watching for a highway sign where you're supposed to get off, and maybe even looking out for a policeman or 2, you know. That's an awful lot that's going on in your mind. Well, can we master it? Judaism, we say 70 tracks can be mastered. But of course, like juggling, before you learn how to juggle 3 balls, learn how to catch. Yeah? So first you have to learn how to concentrate. Be a master of 1 track. Number 7 is that in Judaism we say 1 track should always be reserved for God. Shavisi Hashem lenegdi tov. 1 track, and that's a good way of learning how to use more than 1 track, you see. Because, like, let's say if you're married, you know, you never forget your wife and get onto the cab and leave her. Not if you want to come home. Huh? You got to remember you're out with your wife. So it's not really proper to forget the Almighty. If you believe He's around, walk in front of Him at all times. And once you learn how to do that, then you can learn another track. 1 track for the Almighty. Number 8 is that, look, we say that meditation, in the Jewish concept of meditation, is not to empty your mind and think about a word that doesn't make sense to you. Meditate on love, meditate on God, meditate on your longing, meditate on a positive concept, which means to immerse yourself in all your interests into the various aspects of one concept. That's meditation. It's not the concentration where you focus your mind, this, but it's to envelop your being into a concept. And that's why our great ones, like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, Moses, they were all shepherds. You know why? Because to properly meditate, you should be out under the sky, away from all men, in the awesomeness of the heavens. That's the introduction and the power of meditation. In the words of the Chovos HaLevavos, a person should be alone with God under the sky, even in a crowd, even when he's with a party. Take that meditation with you wherever you go. Now let's go on to Roman numeral 2, intellectual purity, quality-wise. So how do we go about that? So number 1 is, you've got to appreciate ideas are realities. We are what we think. You think that you can change, you can change. You think you can't change, you're limited. Do you understand? Our ideas are what guides us. They are our realities. We live in these worlds. It doesn't mean that they're true, but that's the way we'll react to life. You think that people are out to kill your friend, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. But you'll be afraid. You think that everybody's against you, we have to get your treatment. But this is the way you're reacting to humanity. That's what we live with. Number 2 is, then treat him as such. If you think that wisdom is more than money, then live with that idea and live with it as a reality. Number 3 is that react to ideas as if they were real. It will become so. It will become a discipline. So therefore, mean what you say and say what you mean. If you say something, check yourself. Do I mean this? Is wisdom more than money? Yeah. Do you mean it? Is happiness an obligation? Is love an obligation? Is love a pleasure? Do you think that love is pleasurable? Yes? You do. Well, would you like to learn how to love humanity? You would. Do you see that when you say it, I mean it, then you're stuck with, let's take the next step. If you say, yeah, love is pleasurable, but I don't want to love humanity, it's too much. Nonsense. Yeah? Well, I don't think you can teach me. You don't mean it. When you mean it, it changes your approach. Interact with ideas as if they're real. Mean what you say and say what you mean. That's the only way to live like this. You're living a schizophrenic life. Number 4 is that if we don't watch out, then our confusion affects those things where we have a clarity. Don't let it. Know what you know. Put it in a separate basket. I know I have to know what my pleasure is. Clear. Make it real. I know that I have to find out whether there is a God. I know, clear. This is a reality. I know that there is a God. Not so clear? Don't put it into the same basket, because it will contaminate your basket. And know that there are some things I have to clarify. Big deal. I don't know. I'm confused about certain issues. It's all right. A person is entitled to be confused a little bit, right? But if you put them all in one basket, then there's nothing that's really real. You've got to take the trouble. So be of this is, make a list of the things that you know, and separate them. Actually separate them. You'll feel that positive energy of at last having a clarity on certain values. And I mean it. I really mean it. We shouldn't hurt each other. I mean that. Nobody should hurt anyone. All the time. Never hurt anyone? Well, never hurt anyone without proper cause. Huh? See, you got to know what. Do you mean this? There's a time to hurt. All right, but without any reason, you should never hurt anyone. Well, what do you mean reason? I mean, I feel like getting even. Is that a good enough reason? He hurt me first. Do you see? A confusion. Get that clear first. Sort them out. All right, Roman numeral 3 is emotional purity quantity-wise. What does that mean quantity-wise? So we said one emotion at a time, to be ruthless. So number one of this, how do we go about it, is pick the emotion that you're going to ride, and that's it. You will feel nothing else or consider nothing else. Like a doctor in surgery. Once you make the incision, the rest of the world can go to the devil. Now's not the time to hear about Reagan's assassination attempt or nothing else. Yeah? Because this is prime importance. Yeah? It's the difference. You're emotional. It's not you're concentrating here. It's you don't care about anything else. Finish. You're here. You want to ask for a job. You don't give a hang if you're turned down. If the guy will insult you. If the guy will say you dropped that. Moses, you're asking for a job if he'll call in the whole office to laugh at you. You say, look, buddy, I can do the job. You want a good man? It's tough. We can do it. We can ignore everything else once we make up our mind what we're going to do. So number 2 of this is, the Chofetz Chaim said on what the rabbis say, Adam ki yomus ba'ohel, that when you're learning Torah you should die for it. And they said that you should consider yourself dead. And they give an example like this. In Jewish consciousness there was a story like this. There was an aspect like this. When you saw your first white hair, that was a messenger from the angel of death. I'm coming. So they tell a story of a fellow who was a young man. He studied a lot, quite a lot of learning. And then, of course, he got married. He had to earn a living. So he got into the business world, but he kept studying 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, and then he became successful. So his customers came knocking on the door. So he learned only 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day, a half an hour a day, until he was swallowed up with the business. Swallowed up. Go to shul in the morning, straight to the business. He made a lot of money, right? Well, one day he got up and he took a look in the mirror, and there was a white hair. So he goes to the davening. From the davening he goes to the study hall, and he sits and learns all day. His wife calls up the business. He's not in the business. She runs down. What happened to her husband? She goes to shul. Nobody saw him. She runs around. She can't find him. Finally, she thinks maybe he was in the base of Medrash. So goes to the base of Medrash, and sure enough, there he is, learning. She says, Chaim, you're crazy. All the customers are waiting. What are you doing? So he tells her, look, from now on until 12 o'clock I learn all day. He says, Chaim, what will we tell the customers? He says to her, listen, see, I got a white hair. When I'm dead, what are you going to tell the angel of death? You say, you can't take my Chaim. The customers are waiting. Consider me dead until 12 o'clock. Do you understand the power of this concept? You're doing something, just forget about the whole bloody world as you're dead. It's gone. Nothing you can do about it. All your emotions are here. There is nothing else to do. So there's many other examples that the rabbis use. There's one story of the Chassam Sofer. In those days, the printing press wasn't that productive, but there still were books around, and occasionally a book was missing a page. And wherever he went, he would study. Yeah? And if there was a page missing, he wrote out the page and put it in. Yeah? So the question was asked him, how in the heck can you remember all that? How can a human being remember all this stuff? Yeah? So he said, whenever I study, it's as if there's nothing else in the world but me and what I'm studying. There's nothing else in the world in the future. There's nothing else in the past. It's only me. How can I forget? Get it? How can you forget? Okay, that's the idea of Yomus Ba'olah. Once you committed yourself, there's nothing else. Number 3 is, for your living, especially important to use in time of confusion and anxiety. You're aggravated, the taxi isn't coming, you don't know whether you're going to make the plane on time, you're caught up in traffic. Don't sit there seething and kicking yourself and going, oi, and the bums, and he should have come on time, and this traffic is awful, and get yourself, just forget about it. You missed the plane, that's all. What would you like to do? Enjoy the view. Doesn't make any sense. Why aggravate yourself? We can do it. You feel? I'm not saying if there's something to do it. You can call up a dispatcher, you can get a cab. Go ahead, take care of it. But if you're just staying there, seething, don't. Block it out. Like a surgeon. You decide that this is, if your wife has just been arguing with you this morning, you know that's pretty aggravating, right? Yeah? Now you're going to operate, so what are you going to say? Oh, what she said to me. No, you don't do that. Right? Just forget about it. Got no wife, got no children, got nothing. I got to darn the sock, right? Because you choose, this is obviously the emotion that you have to use now, yeah? As long as it's counterproductive, you just go, ding, I don't care. We can say I don't care when you do care, right? This is the time to use it. Number 4 is that realize people use this emotional block to protect their insanity, to protect them against prejudices, against things they don't want to hear. Like talk to someone about a third world war. There's no such thing. It can't be. It's too upsetting. Quiet. Leave me alone. Zong. Yeah? You can't get through. Talk to someone that Jews are fine people when they're prejudiced. Yeah? They don't hear you. They block you out. Do you see? They're using this power of ruthlessness. I'm not interested in this subject. Finished. Yeah? They can talk sense, but they're not hearing. They're just debating. So how do you avoid that? Say, I'm interested in truth, wherever it will lead. Don't be afraid. Truth is worthwhile. But C of this is, use that same ruthlessness in seeking truth. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I'll have to change my whole life. Big deal. I'm not afraid. Protect sanity. Don't let other emotions get in the way. You're afraid of hearing the truth? No, sir. Ruthless for truth. Number 5 is that the same way that we have 70 tracks in our intellect, we have 70 tracks for emotions. A person can be full of trepidity and anxiety and at the same time joy. You got a new job, right? Will you make it? Won't you make it? But it's great. I've got a promotion and I'm proud and joyous. It's a whole kishbash of emotions. There's 10 different emotions storming through at one time. So again, in order to really master them, you have to take one at a time. But in Judaism we say, B of this is always keep one track of emotion for joy. The joy of life should always be with it. Is life good? Feel it all the time. That gives you energy for everything. If you've gotten that through, then C is one track for awe. Joy and awe. Those 2 emotions walk with. Then love of God, but that's more sophisticated. Okay, so number 6 is that, look, remember, when you get up in the morning, turn on that switch. Which emotion you're riding today? Joy, victory, you're going to do it, that's it. Nothing is going to get you tracked off. No headaches, no problems, no troubles. You're full of joy. That's Jewish consciousness. You wake up in the morning, you say, Moda ani lefanecha. Thank God I am alive. Yeah? That's the keynote. Now switch off any counterproductive, no, don't let them through. That's it, for your day. All right, Roman numeral 4 is emotional purity quality-wise, and we already discussed that that's the idea of the berserker. Yeah. Now what does that mean? So number 1 is, decide which emotion you're going to use, what's right, and whatever you decide, intensify your will. I'm going to do it. It will be done. There's nothing will stand in my way. I won't stand for anything, etc. And on with it. You have to first decide. So number 2 of this is that saying it is easiest. It's like the rah, the pep talk. You can give yourself that pep talk like the football coach gives them. If I'm going to do it today, I'm going to be concentrated. I'm going to search for truth and nothing will stop me. When the next guy tells me something about reality, I'm going to give him a kiss and a hug and I'm going to tell him you're the greatest human being I've ever met. Sit down and explain it fully and I'm going to be full of enthusiasm. Or I'm going to make a sale. You can do it for yourself. Do you see what a sales manager can do for you, you can do for yourself? Yeah?
It seems like you're oversimplifying it to make your point. Say I'm in a motion to be very successful. And a friend comes up to me and they have a problem. Now, if I'm in my mood that I have to get my task done, I'm going to be shutting out the emotion.
You say that once you're into an emotion, you can't switch. And I say, we have a mechanism, we have a set, like a surgeon. An earthquake won't stop him. Yeah? But somebody walking into the room spraying bullets will. It's a very interesting mechanism, but you can count on it. You're all hepped up, but somebody says your mother is sick, you won't say, no, I got to make a sale, but you stop, and you'll switch around and go on. All right, number 3 is that whatever you do, throw that switch and give it all you got in that emotional intensity. You just have to watch out not to blow people away. All right, Roman numeral 5, and we're getting out of time, so we'll cut it down. Roman numeral 5 is goal purity. Know your goal. So number 1 of this is the most important thing to do is to know what you're living for, that goal. Anybody who knows what is his ultimate pleasure and what do you want your life to stand for will accomplish great things in this world. So one of the things that we say that a person can track down what he wants out of life is what are you willing to die for. If a human being knows that he's willing to die for the Jewish people, that is a clue as to what he wants to live for. Does that make sense? If you're willing to die for something, that's pretty heavy. You want to be a good man? Is that basic? Every human being in this room will die to be good. This is the facts of life, according to their realization of good. I would say that every human being in this room would die rather than kill 10,000 innocent people. Is that right? Say I can't do it. Finish. Every human being knows that that's my problem. I can't do that. Because good is the Palestinians are dying to be good. The Balaminov, the Red Brigade, everybody wants to be good. Yeah? Can count on it. You want to be good too. Just what is good? Well, is it good to find out what is good? Sure is. Everybody agrees on that, right? Well, why don't you just stick around? We'll teach you how to know what is good. You'll check it out. But if you want to be good, here's the place to start. But a person can know what he wants, and that's the first step. It's hard work. It definitely is hard work. But after all, it's for yourself, and you deserve the very best effort that you can make. And if you know what you want, and you have clarity about it, Judaism says you must be great. You will be great. Number 2 is that until you decide on that, you see, is make up your mind, know your present goals. You're going touring, what's your goal? You want pleasure? You want to be able to say that you've visited all the important places? Well, make sure you get a list of the important places. Define what is your goal in touring, in college, in personal relationships. What is your goal? Because if you have a clarity on what your goal is, what you want to accomplish, you have a chance of making it. Why are you going to college? To get a BA with honors, and never mind whether it's practical or not? No, that's not your goal. So what is your goal? You want to have a good skill for job hunting? Well, make sure you get it. Why are you studying? Because you want to get oddities about life? Well, then the best book to read is The Strange Facts of Life, Ripley, believe it or not. You'll find all the oddities listed. Why are you studying? Because you want to know how to live? Well, then you'll concentrate on knowing how to live. If you have your goals, you have a good chance of making it. Number 3 is make your goals real. It's a difference between a fellow who decides he's going to be a doctor, determined to be a doctor, and a guy who desires, has an ambition of being a doctor. It's an altogether different undertaking. He ties his emotions into his goal. He makes his goal real, connects it. He knows why he wants it. Okay, one more, and that's Roman numeral 6, is integrated purity. Integrated purity means the emotional, the intellectual, everything. So really, number 1 of how to do it is be a master of each aspect of purity and put it together. Get all 10 aspects of purity and put it together. That's integrated purity. But there's a direct method, and that's number 2, and it's a sentence. How to do it, there's a sentence in the Bible. King David said, all my bones said, Almighty, who is like you? Now, this is a Jewish consciousness thing, that swing your mind from your toes. You ever hear swing your bat from your toes? Yeah? Get everything into the swing, right? Well, swing your mind from your toes. The way we stand is relevant to how we use our mind. When you get all of you into acting, call that smoke, say, all my bones, then you got an alertness, alive, you're into it. Yeah. But number 3 is that more than this, it's a heavier thing than this, is what King Solomon said in the Bible, Kol asher ata oseh bekochacha aseh. If it's worth doing with everything you got. Because there's no wisdom and there's no action in the grave that you're going there. Which means that you have a little bit of time, an urgency of time. You're undertaking to do something, you made a mistake, you didn't make a mistake, whatever it is, you decided, and do it with all you got. Now we know as kids, we used to tell a guy, come on, give it all you got, you're sleeping, yeah? Whatever it is. As long as you decide it's worth doing, do it with all you have. And number 4 is that there's certain things that are counterproductive to purity, and in Judaism we say you can't orgy in the evening and meditate in the morning. There's a certain residue. You understand them? And it takes a little time to regenerate your control. Yeah. So we say keep out of anything which is counterproductive. All right, now I would say that the best assignment that I can pick out of this is know what you know. Make a list of 100 things that you have a conviction of. There are absolutes, there are no absolutes, you have free will, you don't have free will. Put down everything that you're convinced of. Yeah, your parents love you. You love your parents. You got 10 fingers, put that down. If you got nothing else to put down, right? The earth is round. The earth revolves around the sun. Put everything down and then start sorting it out. Do you really know you're good? How do you know you're good? Where's it come? The way to sort it out is, how do I know? How do I know I'm not adopted? How do I know I'm my parents' natural child? I don't want to upset anybody, but how do you know? Track it down. Well, the way they treat me. Anybody feel adopted? No, you get the idea. Yeah. Try it out.
You have been listening to the 48 Ways to Wisdom.